Now we will switch to English, and up on stage I have Martin Jönsson, CEO of Alzecure, and on the Q&A we will also be joined by Johan Sandin, Chief Scientific Officer. Take it away, Martin.
Thank you so much. Good morning. So nice to be here and giving an update on Alzecure and our Alzheimer's patients or project. So what we will be talking about today is the Alzheimer tsunami that is coming with a tripling patient population. We will also talk about the very big unmet medical needs, since the new treatment with the antibody, actually only 5 to 8% are eligible for this treatment. And then how Alzecure is addressing this with novel treatment, both to prevent Alzheimer's, but also to improve learning and memory capabilities in individuals. So, Alzecure in brief. We are a company focusing on Alzheimer's and also working in pain. We are a spin-out out of AstraZeneca, and we have been funded by the Swedish Alzheimer's Fund and then gone on the stock market. And we are developing small, novel, first-in-class and best-in-class molecules for Alzheimer's and for pain. And in our board, we are very fortunate to have Jan Lundberg, who used to be head of at Eli Lilly for research and development for almost a decade, and stood behind what today is a fantastic pipeline for Eli Lilly. So with his guidance, we are very, very happy. And he has also invested in our company. And our business model that we are having is that we are a research and development company where we are focusing on pushing the project into from preclinical into clinical, and then to out-license them and get incomes to drive the other projects forward. And our pipeline contains 4 different projects, and NeuroRestore is the most advanced, where we have positive phase 2 data, and where we also are having sponsorship or support by the European Innovation Council. And then in this project, we are actually also preparing for a phase 2 study, which we intend to start this year. Additionally, we have Alzstatin, which is a preventive treatment against Alzheimer, where we are preparing for phase 1. And then we also are having our project ACD137, which is in preclinical stage, also being prepared for phase 1. Then in ACD440, we are having a project for neuropathic pain. And in this project, we are having positive phase 2 data and also orphan designation for erythromelalgia, an orphan disease. And here we have positive feedback for a pivotal trial in erythromelalgia. If we are going into our project with focus area on Alzheimer's, the cost for society for Alzheimer's is very, very major. They cost more for society than oncology, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease together. And in the coming years, in the coming 30 years, they are expecting to triple. What is driving Alzheimer's disease and the increasing number of patients in society? This is due to that people are living longer and longer, and we are having an aging population. And with this, we can see that the cost for society is really escalating and going up towards 3 trillion in about 25 years. And today we have new treatment that have come in, like the antibodies. But what we can see is that there is a major unmet medical need, because only about 5 to 8% of the patients with diagnosed Alzheimer's are eligible for these treatments. So what we see is a truly major unmet medical need that we are addressing. And how are we doing this? We are doing this with Alzstatin, which we developed to become a preventive treatment. and also with NeuroRestore to improve learning and memory capabilities, and also being potential disease modifying. And both of these projects are validated by big pharma, such as Roche and Eisai. And if we are looking at Alzstatin, Alzstatin is our preventive treatment where we are focusing on diminishing the buildup of plaque in the brain. And this we are doing by minimizing the production of the amyloid beta 42, which is building up into the plaque. And by treating with our molecules, we can show that we can diminish the amount of plaque. And we have shown this in different models, like this one, where we have shown that we can diminish it with up to over 60%. And as we are decreasing A-beta 42 and 40, we are also increasing A-beta 37 and 38, which have shown to be protective against Alzheimer's. Additionally, what we have done is also publishing data on that our molecules, gamma secretase modulators, are actually showing diminishing buildup of plaque, but also regression of existing plaque. And we have done several studies around this, which all are pointing in the same direction. And looking forward to present this on coming meetings. When it comes to the patient groups that we are focusing on with our treatment with Alzstatin, we want to go in and have this as a maintenance treatment to treat diagnosed patients with Alzheimer's, also as a combination with antibodies. And already today there are studies with gamma secretase modulators and antibodies. And then the ultimate is to come with a preventive treatment where we identify the patients based on their increased amounts of A-beta 40 and 42, and then also looking for genetic risk factors. And what we are preparing towards is a proof of mechanism study, phase 1, where we will have both healthy volunteers, but also Alzheimer's patients. Already in this study, we are anticipating that we will be able to show how we can decrease the amount of the toxic A-beta. And what's exciting in this niche is that Roche also have a gamma secretase modulators, which now are in phase 2. And they are having an 18-month trial, and this trial will end in fall 2026. And they have communicated that they will have an interim readout in 2026. Then we go to NeuroRestore, because patients who have Alzheimer's have decreased cognition. And what we want to do here is to offer a treatment that can improve learning and memory capabilities. And what we are doing here is that we have identified that BDNF and NGF, which are neurotrophins, are key for brain health and cognition, and that individuals who are low on these neurotrophins have a faster disease progression. So by addressing this, we see that our treatment can be of interest. And the way we are doing this is that we have developed new novel molecules, first in class, so-called positive allosteric modulators, TrkA-PAMs, which are increasing BDNF and NGF signaling. And what we have shown is that we can increase mitochondrial function, also neuroprotection, as well as stimulating neural outgrowth, and also synaptic health. And what we are aiming for here is to focus on going in and improve the ability to learn, the ability to store what have been learned, but also the ability to remember what one have learned. And this we have shown that in different preclinical models that we are able to do. So by treating older animals, we are able to reestablish the ability to learn and remember to where an individual are at prime. And then to this, we also have that these molecules are having disease modifying properties. And In our phase 1, which we did, we showed safety, tolerability, and also target engagement, that we are activating the centers in the brain which are key for learning and memory capabilities. And we showed that this molecule is coming over the blood-brain barrier to a very high extent, and also that we had a very safe profile, and that we could have a product that we can have once daily treatment. And now we are preparing for phase 2, which we aim to start this year. And this with the co-funding of the European Innovation Council, who gave us a grant last year. And we are now preparing for this study. And then, as a summary, why Alzecure Pharma? This is because we are targeting areas of significant unmet medical need. We have a strong team that have developed what we have presented to you here. We also have platforms with first-in-class properties, which truly can become game changers. We also are doing parallel investment with potent follow-up programs. We are also having multi-billion market opportunities in these different fields. And also that we as a company, we have been created from an idea company, developing our molecules, taking them into man and into patients, and now also having been validated by the European Innovation Council. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin, and welcome up, Johan.
Thank you.
So to start off, could you elaborate on the unmet need in Alzheimer's and go through what gap, let's start with ACD856, can fill?
Johan, please.
Well, certainly, I mean, it's what we see right now. I mean, it's still a huge gap, even with the existing treatments available on the market, such as the antibodies. We heard Martin mention about 5 to 8% are actually eligible for treatment with the antibody treatments. So there's a huge unmet medical need still. And moreover, what the patients actually are lacking is also a good symptomatic treatments that will enhance their memory and learning function. So there, the ACD856 molecule, for example, has the advantage of actually providing both symptomatic, i.e. memory enhancing, as well as disease modifying properties. So that's a real game changer.
And what we can say as well is that we know that this is a disease that starts very early, potentially already 20 years before you get the symptoms. And to go in early and treat is very important. And therefore, if you can offer a tablet treatment, which is easy, like we are aiming for with NeuroRestore, this is a clear advantage. And by that, making sure or working towards that you do not harm the brain and develop dementia.
And one could also assume that there's a possibility for combination treatment with antibodies and gamma secretase modulators and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the really nice things about Alstatin, that we could combine that with antibody treatment or as a standalone treatment or even as a preventive therapy that can actually prevent the development of the disease. You started early.
And excitingly, you are soon to start a phase 2 study with the NeuroRestore ACD856. Can you expand on this study when it comes to the size and the timelines and efficacy endpoints?
Yeah, so we are currently really intensively working with the planning for the upcoming phase 2A clinical trial, which we also received a grant from the European Innovation Council for. So we'll come up with more details later, but I can mention that it's a randomized, placebo-controlled, double-blind study conducted in early Alzheimer's disease patients. And we will be looking at various types of variables. Obviously, we want to look at safety and tolerability, but certainly also with regard to quantitative EEG, where we saw a positive signal already in the phase 1 with ACD856. So that's also something we want to confirm. We also have as exploratory measures, we're going to look at both cognition as well as biomarkers. So that's part of the study plan.
Yeah. And as mentioned before, the aim is to start now in the fall. So we are interacting with the sites that should be included here.
Yeah.
And you have seen some early signs that the candidate might be disease modifying, and a disease modifying treatment calls for a higher price point because the effect is larger. Will you be looking into this kind of effect in the phase 2 study?
That's also a really interesting point with ACD856. As I mentioned, it has both these kind of disease modifying as well as the cognitive enhancing properties. And the advantage of this is obviously looking at cognition as an endpoint is much quicker in a clinical trial than look at disease modification, which requires much more lengthy trial. So for us, we're going to look at disease modification as we move along the development. But certainly, as I mentioned already now in the phase 2, we have exploratory biomarkers that are related to disease or pathology that we're going to look at as well.
And an interesting aspect is that you've seen potential within depression also with this candidate. Can you expand on this opportunity?
Yes, I mean, with regard to depression, ACD856 and the mechanism behind it has very strong validation in depression. Both, actually, it's been reported, both classical antidepressants such as SSRIs as well as ketamine and the novel psychedelics actually have and mediate their antidepressant effects through BDNF signaling, which is the mechanism of one of the mechanisms of neurorestore ACD856. And we've also shown really potent effects, antidepressant effects preclinically. And we've also seen very strong interest from partnering discussions we've had in around this area on depression. So that's clearly something we see as an added benefit. We also know that, well, a quite large proportion of Alzheimer's patients are actually on antidepressants as well. So that's another benefit.
Yeah, and what we can say here when it comes to depression, it's a huge market. If Alzheimer is big, depression is huge. More than 600 million individuals are suffering from depression. 1/3 of these individuals are treatment resistant, so they actually do not have any effective, well-functioning treatment. And also the treatment that are existing are in many cases problematic with regard to the side effects, etc. With regard to suicide, sexual dysfunction, it takes a long time for them to actually have effect. So a huge unmet medical need, which we are very happy to potentially be able to address with neurorestore as well.
If we move back to ACD680, your preventive Alzheimer's treatment, can you expand on the possibilities there? How early would you aim to start treatment when when research is developing? You can see early if a patient will develop Alzheimer's or not.
Yes, no, I think with ACD680, the Alstatin program, you could really dependent on how early you go in. If you go in early enough, it could actually be a preventive therapy that prevents you from developing the disease completely. But it could also be used as a secondary prevention type of strategy where you go into patients with early Alzheimer's disease, where you would delay the initiation of the disease or delay the progression of the disease. Or you could use it as a combination together with antibody therapies to prevent buildup of new amyloid after you cleared it already. So there are multiple possibilities with this mechanism.
And what we can say there is it's not theory. It is already happening now. The Banner Institute in the US have already started a study where they are treating both with regard to primary prevention, but also secondary prevention, and then actually also combining with antibodies. So GSM with an antibody, but primary and secondary prevention.
And speaking of GSM, you mentioned Roche develops a compound, and as far as I know, they are the only companies developing, Roche and you. Are a lot of eyes directed towards this study within the field, or would you say it's under the radar?
I would say among pharma companies, there is a clear focus on it. Also, since Roche now actually have been running that study for a very long time, and going in early and having prevention, that's very attractive. But when it comes to investors, I think it's partly going under the radar. So if in 2026 Roche are coming with positive data and also showing broad patient population, that will be very interesting. And what's interesting there is that in Roche study, they also have patients who are very long in the disease, whose brains are full with plaque. So that will be interesting as well to see if Roche actually also will be able to show a plaque removal.
And perhaps there's some scrutiny around gamma sectors in modulators, because there was a downfall within inhibitors. Can you expand on this, Johan?
Yeah, so gamma secretase modulators and gamma secretase inhibitors are completely different mechanisms of action. So while the gamma secretase inhibitors, they block normal enzyme activity, the gamma secretase enzyme. And gamma secretase have many different products that it can cleave, one of them being Notch, which is really important for normal cell functioning. So that was seen in the clinical trials. The gamma secretase modulators, they don't block gamma secretase at all. So they only affect the cleavage of A-beta. So it's a very selective process, and thereby also inherently very safe mechanism of action, which I think is also a stronghold. And it also doesn't touch the total amount of A-beta. So if A-beta does have a physiological role, well, then we are less likely to have any side effects related to it.
And maybe we should comment also with regard to Roche, how we are differentiating. So as it looks, we have a molecule which is about 6 to 7 times more potent. And at least preclinically, it's also showing to go over the blood-brain barrier to a larger extent. So therefore, we are very happy that Roche are showing the way, and we are very happy to follow with potentially better molecules.
And as you mentioned, or as you showed us earlier, we have a salad of clinical candidates. Can you expand on your out-licensing strategy?
Yes. So we want to out-license 1 or 2 projects. We have dialogues on all our different projects. And we can say that we are opportunistic when it comes to the out-licensing. Normally, the easiest thing is to out-license what's most de-risked, and therefore 40, our pain project in neuropathic pain, and now also towards erythromelalgia, is the one which is very well positioned. So we are driving dialogues on all our different projects.
So is the ACD440 compound towards erythromelalgia consuming most of your business development time?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
And you recently attended a lot of clinical conferences, healthcare conferences. Can you share some insights from those?
We see an increased interest. We really feel that the interest have really built up over time. We are seeing an increased interest in Alzheimer's, because when we started, Alzheimer's was a graveyard. Now we really see success cases like with Biotic. And then we're also seeing an increased interest when it comes to psychiatry and depression. And there we also have new Restore. And then we also see increased interest in pain, since there is an increased interest to find non-opioids, which can replace the opioids which are creating big problems. So we are actually very, very well positioned with all our different projects.
And you have earlier mentioned plans for a phase 1 within ACD 680 or preventive treatment. Can you expand on your strategy when it comes to that candidate?
So, I mean, right now we are focusing on going through the preparatory stages before moving into man. And one of the advantages of alstatin, or is ACD680, and the mechanism there is that actually we can show proof of mechanism already in the phase 1. So we can show effects on biomarkers also already in the healthy volunteers. So that's a major advantage, and also a key business selling point, I would say, and strengthens the case even further.
Interesting. Time moves fast. Thank you both for joining us today, Martin and Johan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip.